Hello, everybody. Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us for our first mentor spotlight this week. We're going to be having really cool guests this week. We have two gentlemen who I'm really, really excited to hear from in depth. We just had a little bit of private conversation with some of the children in the one-to-one mentorship program. And now we're just going to have a public conversation on a whole bunch of things, ranging from, Black music to, being a Black entrepreneur in 2021 and what that means, to Black mentors that inspired these two gentlemen. We're going to be talking a little bit about music, a little bit about sports. And so without further ado, I want to introduce these two gentlemen so that I can start asking them questions. So it's not just me. We just heard their debut single, Just Quiet. I believe that was the first song that they've dropped. It's an amazing, amazing song. I hope so. They can correct me on that when they come in. But I really like that song. So I picked it and we were just listening to it as everyone came in. So thank you for tuning in. Without further ado, I'm going to begin these introductions. So through their love of house music and fascination with its roots, Black roots, the emerging producer Ashton Adams linked up with Four Corners to collectively be known as 401 West, named after the highway 401 West that connects both Toronto and Cambridge. And what they describe as simply beginning up as passionate conversations between two friends. Their project has, reached thousands of streams. They're really successful. It's really amazing stuff. And they're pushing the agenda forward for house music, which I think is really important to note. One thing you'll realize in their project is that they talk about its accessibility, and the infusion of hip hop makes their house music accessible to OG casual and brand new house music fans alike. So without further ado, I want to introduce the owner of Kingdom Studios, the official DJ for the Toronto Raptors, and just two amazing, amazing guys, 401 West, Ashton Adams, and Four Corners.
Thank you.
Thank you for that introduction, brother.
You, man.
Yeah, no problem, guys. No problem. So yeah, I just want to, get the ball rolling. I know that we've talked a lot in the mentorship program just previously, but we're going to go a little bit more in depth. So, I just wanted to start off really basic. So I guess we'll start off with Ashton, and then, we can go to Four Corners. I just wanted to know if you could just tell us a bit both about your story and how you came to where you're at today, together with 401 West, and then, separate as, two artists, in separate lanes. If you could just share your story for our listeners today.
For sure. Well, Chance, thank you for having us. Really appreciate it. Everything you're doing, amazing. And thank you for everyone who's tuning in to hear about everything. So I was born in Halifax, and I moved to Cambridge when I was about 6-7 years old. I grew up in the church. My family's very, very religious, and pretty much music was my love growing up. And I played in the church band, and all throughout middle school into high school, I played in the church band. I played in the metal band. I loved all different kind of genres. And during that time, my father was an entrepreneur in business, and I learned a lot from him, just growing up, watching him, seeing what he does. And that really molded, my direction of where I wanted to go with my life. I played sports as well. So sports, music, and business. Those were my three main things. Starting with music, I was, just making beats. I was like, anybody hop on my beats. Just use it, please, 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 begging people. And throwing them out, and I had some cool opportunities with some local artists that came up, and started working on them. And then I opened up a studio in Cambridge, which is called Canning Studios, and we've had a lot of local acts come through, and bigger acts, including Four Corners himself. And I also started a label called Kingdom Records, which I have a few local acts signed to, and a couple in the States as well. And we just been working, and then me and Four Corners, we linked up and started 401 West. And yeah, that's, we're still making things happen with that. So.
And the rest is history in the making. Yeah. That was a cool story, Ashton. My name is Kirk. I go by Four Corners. I was born in Toronto here. My entire youth was sports and music. I played all sports. Basketball, soccer, volleyball, you name it, track and field. I was involved in it on an organized sport level from as long as I can remember and through high school into university, but also music. My dad had a crazy dope music collection, vinyl collection. Some of the records you see behind me here are from my dad's collection that I've kind of stolen, for lack of a better word, and put them into my collection when I became a DJ. And that started just near the end of high school, beginning of university, when I started to discover DJ culture and the club scene. And I just fell in love with it and started collecting records and started practicing and trying to figure out how it works. And that led me to deciding at one point that, I want to do this for a career. I was in university for writing. I wanted to be a journalist, or I thought I did. But music was always my love. And when the opportunity arose for me to do this, which was different than everything that I'd done musically in the past, because I grew up playing piano. I was in piano competitions at the Royal Conservatory when I was between the ages of 7 and 12. I played in band in school. I played various woodwind and brass instruments and a little bit of drums as well. So I had I took music theory. I had the music background, but I'd never thought of a career in music until DJing came across my plate. And once I discovered this, I never looked back, and I just really dove into it. And wow, that's over 20 years ago now. And along the way, the natural progression of DJing just led me to, first things that led me to the Toronto Raptors and becoming the Toronto Raptors DJ starting in 2005. And that was amazing because I was able to put my love of sports and music together in one thing. And then a little bit later, I'd say around 2010, 2011, I started to get the bug of making my own music because I'd been DJing for a long time, playing other people's songs. And I started to come across some successful DJs, especially in the electronic scene, like David Guetta and Calvin Harris and, a few others. And then I looked back at the roots of house music and realized, whoa, the DJs, those were the ones, they made the songs. I didn't realize Frankie Knuckles, the DJ, was the person making the music, or Inner City was actually a DJ that was behind making that music. And these were like some legendary house music bands. And so I just realized that, the natural progression of being a DJ is to produce music and make your own music and being able to play that music at the events and concerts. So that's what led me into that. And then through some mutual friends, I met Ashton and we hit it off right away and started working on music. And the first record we made together was a hip hop record called I Want More. And then we just kept working and kept doing other things. And we got into conversation about house music, and it grew into this project that we now call 401 West, that we are completely fascinated with and are working on nonstop. Coming up to we dropped our first EP in November, a 3-song EP. You were right. Our first song was
Was I right? Did I get that right?
You're right.
See?
We dropped that. We had so many plans for 2020, and then then COVID hit and kind of just threw all that out the window. And then we were trying to figure out what we do. And we said, let's put out a song and see what happens. So we put out that song in May, and it did really well right off the bat, and people seemed to like it. So we kept working, and we put out another song, and then we put out our EP. And we haven't really been able to do any shows yet. We shot a virtual concert in October. We just shot a new DJ set for a festival that's coming up, and we played a DJ set at a drive-in festival in August. That's it. In an entire year, we haven't been able to do anything else, or a couple live streams, but that's it. So we're looking forward to things opening up and getting back to where our original plan, which is to get out in the world and present this music and share it with people.
Yeah, and me too. I look forward to that as someone who's going to be on the dance floor on the other side of the table. For sure. So I guess my next question, I just wanted to ask Ashton, and you mentioned how you have Kingdom Studio, and I was in awe on how incredible that is, and especially how you have, you also run, other family businesses, and your family has done so well. So can you just tell us a little bit about what your day looks like, and then how, you, Naomi, your parents are able to, run Beauty Supply and run Kingdom Studio, and just like take us a little bit through your day and what that looks like as a, young Black entrepreneur.
Yeah, well, it's long, long days, but so I wake up in the morning. I try to work out. It's called my mind and body. So I'll work out, whether it's on the bike. I'll do burpees. Try to get a sweat in. Try to stay healthy, because running a business, it's tough. It's difficult. It's very stressful. Being in the music industry as well, being an artist, being a DJ. There's a lot of it's fun, but there is a lot of stress, and it's work too. So you want to make sure that you stay somewhat healthy. I'm not in the best shape of my life, but I'm getting there. I'm trying. And then I'll either listen to a audiobook. Right now I'm listening to David Goggins, and great book. He's he was in the Navy SEALs. He talked about Hell Week, and that gets me fired up for the day. And then once I have done that, I'll spend a couple hours doing that. I'll open up my laptop and open up the 5,000 emails, whether that's for Kingdom Studios, for Beauty Club Outlet, which is our beauty supply store here in Cambridge. It's also a website online as well. And then label stuff, whether it's for any of my artists, any inquiries, things like that, I'll manage that. And then I will try to have some lunch if I don't forget about eating. And then I will go and start working on music. And, I like to, I use the program called Basecamp. So pretty much it's an online platform that myself and my team, we all use. To-do lists are everything. I've been using to-do lists for about 8 to 9 years now, and it's a never-ending list. But I try to just keep banging them out. Organization is super key. Having a program called Basecamp and Google Calendar, that's my 2 main things that I use every single day, and I try to follow that. And if you can follow that every day, you feel accomplished when you start banging out those to-do lists. Then after that, again, I'll do my calls, I would say around 3 to 6ish. I'm gonna try to get those done, and then I, on purpose, try to take my evening off if I can. Again, that doesn't happen sometimes if you have a session or whatnot. But yeah, every day is different, which is why I like being a serial entrepreneur, because you can one day be doing meetings all day, and another day you'll be in a session all day, right? So my life is all over the place, but I try to keep it as organized as possible.
Yeah. It seems like you got a really regiment schedule. I definitely need something like that. I'm taking notes myself. I don't even know what those apps you said. I'm gonna have to text you for those.
Yeah.
My next question is for Four Corners, and as the official Raptors DJ for years now, you mentioned since 2005, and I know you talked a little bit about this, but can you tell us a little bit more about what that was like starting out and how that process began, and how what that was like when maybe your first game, just to give us some insight on what you were like, how you were feeling when you were starting out, for any viewer who might be looking to emerge out of the scene and get some good breaks and some good exposure.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, first things first, anything is possible, because that position did not exist before me. And we created it and figured out how it would work and molded it into what it is today over the years, live in front of everyone. So any idea that you have, definitely try to see it through, because somehow it can possibly work. The reason why I got that position in the first place is the Miami Heat had a DJ. They were the first team to have a team DJ, and a guy by the name of DJ Irie. And the executives from the Raptors saw a game in Miami and saw that the DJ was there and what he was doing, and they thought that would work in Toronto, or they wondered if it would work in Toronto, to add that element to the entertainment at the games. Because I don't know how many of you have been to Raptors games, but there's a lot of entertainment. The game is the main thing, but in between that, at every stoppage of play, there's a bunch of things happening that keeps it really, really entertaining for people. So whether you like basketball or not, you're going to have a great time. And the music is a huge part of that. So they wanted to ramp up the way that the music worked with everything else. And what better to do that than to have a DJ? So how it ended up being me is the vice president of marketing was at an event that I was DJing. And it was like a corporate event where I was playing all kinds of music together and just doing it in a really creative way. Mm. And like I said, they had seen the Miami Heat have a DJ Irie, but they are not on the scene to know what DJs are good or who they would even inquire about. And then she happened to see me doing what it is that I do and thought that it was perfect because of the fact that I was playing a whole wide range of music. I wasn't playing just hip hop. I wasn't playing just house music. I was playing everything all mixed together, song after song after song, in a way that was like really seamless, which is what I pride myself on doing. And she asked me if I'd be interested and slipped me her card, and through a bunch of emails and phone calls and me harassing her a lot to make sure she didn't forget, I eventually was able to get an audition. And me and my partner at the time auditioned in the empty arena on camera to show the executives what it would look like and feel like to have us there. And then they gave us a shot. They just set up a little folding table in the corner of the arena, like by the tunnel where people walk by, and hooked it up and said, okay, let's try this. And I was super, super nervous because I'd never played a room that big before, as well as it wasn't what I was used to. I was used to playing parties and nightclubs, and this was a sporting event, and a big sporting event, like 20,000 people. So to figure out how it would work, even because they didn't even know what they wanted me to do exactly, we were all just figuring it out on the fly. So it was really nerve-wracking, but I just mentally just put myself in the place of like, hey man, she asked me to do this because she saw what I and my partner were doing, so let's just do that. So we did that, and they tried it for a few games and said, okay, cool, it's working, let's try it for this full season. And then after the season, we reassessed and said, okay, let's try it for another season. And it just became a thing where it got to the point where it was just a given that I was going to be there the next season. And at this point, I'm 16 years in, I'm pretty much a staple in the entertainment division of the Raptors.
Mm-hmm.
So now I'm super comfortable. Now it's clockwork, but at the beginning it really wasn't.
Yeah. Yeah, and then that's cool how you talk about, how it progressed from, a few games. They saw you killing it, and, through your craft that really showed through. They said the season, and then, and it was really just, you had the right vibes.
Yeah, and over time the DJ booth got bigger and more elaborate because they realized it's a more important thing, and they just built it. And then the last straw was when Drake got involved with the team.
Right.
And at that time, my DJ booth was like a little bit difficult to see because there were some issues with placing me because like wheelchair accessibility, where my DJ booth was, technically wasn't supposed to be there. So they didn't really have a place for me, and I wasn't visible. I was like up in the press section at one point where like you literally couldn't see me. And then when Drake got involved, he's like, yo, why do we have four corners here if people can't see him? It doesn't make any sense. And his word was the thing that pushed it over the top for them to build the DJ booth that I have now. That's like, it looks like a giant LED covered spaceship right behind the home basket.
Yeah.
So I'm happy there. Thanks, Drake.
Awesome. So my next question, is a transition a bit more to, I guess, we've heard both of your stories separate, but now, for the stuff that merged you two to make 401 West and the importance of Black culture and house music. I just wanted to know, can you tell us a little bit about your Black inspirations growing up, whether that be in music or just, in life in general, that, came to the making of 401 West is not only, a great producers, but also, two guys who are advocating for, house music being Black and the importance of Black house artists and stuff like that. So yeah, if you could just let me know a little bit about those mentors, inspiration that led you guys here.
Kirk, you want to go first?
Sure. Well, I mean, for me, my first knowing of house music was Black music. Like the first house music I was ever exposed to was Chicago house. Like we called it classic house. When I got into the nightclub scene, that's the house music that would play in a party where you would go and hear hip hop and reggae and soca and slow jams. When they play house music, that's what they would play. And it would be, all of the stuff like 10 City and, like I mentioned before, Frankie Knuckles and, Cashmere and some of these artists that were Black artists. And that was the house music I knew. And but a little bit before that, watching Much Music on TV with seeing Electric Circus with Monica Diol or seeing Extendamix with Master T, the house music they would play or the artists that they would have in the studio were always Black. So I just knew house music was Black music. And then somewhere along the way, as it grew in popularity globally, and then the boom of what ended up being called EDM, electronic dance music, was super not Black. Like there were Black people involved, but like it was not known. It was more of a European thing at that point, globally. And then it got really popular in North America again. And I feel like in the time between that, it kind of got lost that Black people actually are the originators of this, in the same way that Black people originated rock music with like Chuck Berry and Little Richard and whatnot. And when you think of rock music now, you don't think Black people, but it is. So Ashton and I got to talking, and like I'm a little bit older than Ashton, so I was telling him about my experience, and then he was telling me about his experience, and it just came together that, yo, house music is Black music. Why is that not common knowledge? Why do people not know that, or why do we feel like people don't know that? Why is it that the culture, the contributions to this culture that's grown into this massive global economic beast why are the roots not showing?
Yeah.
And from that we decided, well, what better way to help than to do something about it? We can't just sit here and talk about it. Let's do something about it. We love house music. Why don't we make house music? And in making that house music, why don't we be intentional on making it as Black as possible? Like it's the blackest thing you can. That's where we're working with. You know what I mean? And we're being very, very intentional with it. Like we shot the first music video we shot. We hired a black director. You know, all of the featured artists we've had are black artists, with the exception of one who is half native. So like we're being very intentional in making this a thing that is like, yo, this is not the European thing. No disrespect to Europe. I love Europe. Europe's awesome. But this is not the roots of the culture. The roots of the culture is us.
Mhm.
And let's remind people of that, or educate people on that while making them dance.
100%, 100%. Yeah, this project came together so organically. Everything of who we are and how we grew up. You know, me personally, you know, I was into so many different genres, and specifically like rock and metal, and I always felt weird. I'm not gonna lie, like, you know, playing metal, like, you know, my parents, or, you know, being from a Caribbean household, you know, you put that song on, they're like, what is this double music and all that stuff? And I'm like, no, I like it. I'm sorry, I like it. And, you know, growing up being a minority, obviously, it was a little different for me. It was a little hard, and I felt like I couldn't really put myself out there. You know, I played in a band, and you know, every time we had a show, you know, I was the only black guy there in a whole, you know, white crowd, and it was different. But, you know, growing up, I realized that, wow, like, you know, rock came from black people. Like, that is our genre. And I think one of the main things, you know, if anybody's, you know, listening that wants to be in music, and, you know, this doesn't traditionally like hip hop or reggae or not, you know, that's okay, because, you know, we have our hands, you know, we started more things than just hip hop and reggae, you know, the rock, the house. So don't be afraid to, you know, express yourself, because, you know, black is beautiful, and black has done a lot of great things, right? So, you know, this house project is, it's everything. It's everything for us, and I'm really excited to get this, get it out there. You know, tell the truth of what house music is and what 411 is all about.
Amazing, amazing. I love these answers. I love it. So yeah, I mean, the next question that I had on why it's so important to speak on anti-Black racism on your platforms, I think you guys have, you know, already answered and knocked out of the park. So I'll just, you know, is there anything else that you guys wanted to add to that on, you know, the importance of why, or maybe like a personal experience? If not, we can go to the, you know, we can go to the next question. But yeah, you guys are really killing it.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Yeah, as far as anti-Black racism, we've all experienced it in many ways, whether it's from blatant outright bigotry to microaggressions that just make us feel weird. Like, we've all experienced that. We're doing our part in fighting against that by speaking out on it. Anytime we see situations where things are just not right, we are vocal. We're no longer holding our tongues. We're not feeling like we shouldn't say anything to not ruffle feathers or what have you. If the feathers need to ruffle, we're ruffling them. And beyond that, we are doing the most as far as leading by example. We walk with our heads high. We are very intentional with the things that we do and what we say and how we present ourselves. And we want to always inspire. We always want to make sure that we are doing things that allow Black youth to look up to us in a way that is a positive influence. We want them to look up and be like, I want to be like them for good reasons. You know what I mean? Because we've had plenty of great examples, and we've had plenty of not so great examples in the Black community globally, in the whole diaspora. And on the continent, we want to make sure that we're exemplifying nothing but Black excellence, so that Black boys and girls can look up and see, yo, we can do anything we want, because look at those guys. Look at those guys, look at those guys, look at those guys, look at those, and not just guys, and like, look at those men, look at those women. We want to be able to be a part of that when they're looking for inspiration or looking for examples of success. They have to see Black faces. And we aspire to always be among that.
Yeah.
100%.
I'm really in awe about the intentionality that you guys have, and to the details, even to the features that you guys have within your music. I think that's beautiful. That because I think when you have all of these details also pointing to Black joy and Black love, I think it really translates into the music, and it's something that we are all in awe of, and we will be listening in and tuning into your upcoming songs. I'm cognizant of time. I know that we allotted 30 minutes, so I just want to ask some questions as we end this and we wrap this up. What tips do you have for young Black artists, people who are chasing their dreams, and maybe you can provide some context even in regards to how it pertains to now. We have like a very special moment, I think, right now. The world is very different. So what tips do you have for young Black artists, young Black musicians, young Black people?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think with COVID right now, everything's shut down, right? You couldn't do anything. You couldn't go out. You couldn't even go to the grocery store. Couldn't even see your family. I remember telling a buddy of mine, I was like, oh, this sucks. I couldn't go to my studio. I couldn't go out. I couldn't be around people. And then I started working at home. I started producing at home, started making music. And it truly reminded me of when I first got into music, when there was no, obviously we do this, full time as our careers. There was no, having to make money. There was no, labels, no pressure, no lawyer, no all this stuff. And it brought it back to the roots of just loving music and trying it, your laptop and putting your DAW on there and making music. So, I think that really gave me an opportunity to get back to, why I do music, because I love to create. I love to experiment with different genres and things like that. So I would say just try anything, right? Whether you want to be a producer or a singer, do what you love and just work at it and experiment. Don't put yourself in a box, right? Listen to different genres that are, may not be just not Black, right? If you like metal, listen to it. Use that into your music, right? And just go for it. Right? This is the time to really go for it.
Yeah, and what I'd like to add to that is harness the power of the internet. I know the younger generations know they live on the internet, but really, really understand how powerful it is. It's not just the entertainment thing. It's like every question that you want answered is out there. Everything that you want to learn how to do, there are X amount of pages and videos instructing you on how to do that. And then there's so many examples of just dope things that you can look at to be inspired. And the connectivity of it through social media and beyond that, you can reach so many people now in a way that just wasn't possible even 10 years ago. So don't, it bothers me when I see young people not understanding how important and powerful the internet is for these kinds of things. Like you ask a question and their answer is, I don't know. There's no such thing as I don't know anymore. Because if you have one of these, if you don't know now, in 5 seconds, you will know if you just pick it up and type. So use that. Use it to every stretch that you can, because it's the most powerful thing in the world is being able to be connected to people. That's all we have on this planet is each other. And the internet allows us to be connected in ways that we weren't before. And you can do a lot of things that just weren't possible before. Even just simply as recording a song and uploading it to Spotify. You can do that now by yourself without needing a record label, without needing a lot of money, without needing so many things, because the internet. So use the internet as the biggest, baddest tool out there. It really is.
Those are amazing tips. Thank you so much to you both. Ashton, I hope one day, COVID lifted, I can pass by Kingdom Studio again and, come check your team out. Four Corners, I hope that I one day have a fraction of that record collection you have behind you. And so thank you so much, guys, for taking the time to speak. to the youth and on our social media platforms. Thank you for coming through to the BYMP program and offering your mentorship to the youth here in Hamilton. We're us at HCCI. I want to thank you again. And yeah, we look forward to the future and working with you guys again. So thank you so much. I'm just going to put both of your plug you guys right here. Awesome. For people still watching, thank you. We're going to be all of this was recorded, so we're going to be posting this again if you'd like to watch this again. Yeah, and I've put both of their info down below. So thank you so much. We hope to see you guys again in a few days when we introduce Lyndon George. He's going to be picking it up where 401 West left off. They're going to be talking a little bit about the NDP, a little bit about the political landscape, and anti-Black racism and advocacy. So thank you so much for everything, guys.
Thank you
for having us, Chance. Anytime, brother.
Awesome. Good night, guys. Thank you, everyone.